Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for some more Star Wars Battlefront II news, and today we have quite a lot of ground to cover as the developers have been dropping information left and right over the past couple of days. Before we get into the news, if you guys have been enjoying all the content I've been getting out for you guys, be sure to leave this video a thumbs up. Like I said, my goal is to start getting out 5 videos a week, and since you guys have been incredible with the likes and comments lately, the channel has been doing absolutely amazing. But anyways, let's just get straight into the news, starting out with a couple of quick PSAs about the current state of the game. First up, Double XP is currently active for the rest of this Wednesday. From what I understand, DICE will be switching on Double XP every Wednesday for the rest of June, so if you have some units you need to rank up and upgrade, now is your chance to take advantage of Double XP in every game mode. Next up, as most of you guys are probably already aware, yesterday a small update dropped into Battlefront II, one which nerfed Anakin yet again, this time pretty hard, and also finally gave us Darth Maul's horizontal lightsaber throw. I will say this, from the handful of games I have had with Anakin after his most recent nerf, I think DICE finally got him right. He is still very good, definitely a top tier hero, but he is no longer going to be wiping out entire rooms of enforcers and troopers with the push of a single button. Now that he is in a more balanced state, I may consider finally putting out a hero guide for Anakin if that's something you guys would like to see. Just be sure to let me know. When it comes to Darth Maul, yeah, his new saber throw is pretty awesome and very simple to use. I will try to jump online and get a quality gameplay for the background footage. Hopefully the servers can be nice this morning and pair me up with semi-decent teammates so I can get a good gameplay. Next up, and this is some pretty great news to hear, over on Twitter a fan asked the community manager Ben if there will be any future content for the original trilogy or sequel trilogy, or if DICE is planning on only creating Clone Wars content from here on out. Ben replied to this saying that, "Star Wars is a big galaxy, who knows where we'll end up down the line." But then after that, Ben went on to say, "Okay, we here at DICE know, but we will be back in August to talk more about the future." To me, this sounds like they absolutely have plans for content outside of just the Clone Wars. Personally, I'm really not sick of the Clone Wars at all, and would be perfectly okay if DICE just decided to do Clone Wars content for the rest of this game's life cycle, but at the same time, there is a lot of original trilogy content that I would love to see. Personally, if I could just pick one new villain out of any character in the Star Wars universe, my vote would definitely go to IG-88, who most of you know as one of the bounty hunters from Empire Strikes Back. I think he would make such an interesting hero and could be so unique, and honestly, he's just such an intimidating villain. I doubt any of you guys remember this, but there was this Star Wars game called Shadow of the Empire. It came out a few years before I was born, but for whatever reason we had a copy of it for the PC, and in that game IG-88 was one of the boss fights, and my god, he was so hard to get past. I am still scarred from it to this day. I don't think I ever managed to get past him as a kid, but yeah, I got a little off topic there. Point is, I think there is a lot of the original trilogy that DICE could explore, and I suppose they'll do a tie-in for Episode 9 for the sequel trilogy fans, so I'm glad to hear that DICE is, at least from the sounds of Ben's tweet, planning on creating content for other eras, and I also think Scarif and some Rogue One content would fit in nicely for this game. Next up on our list of news for today, and this ties in nicely with what we were just talking about, DICE has again given word on a possible Battlefront 3, which you guys know there has been a lot of rumors flying around lately as Battlefront 2 is coming up on its 2-year anniversary, which is quite frankly really hard to believe. And another Battlefront fan over on Twitter tweeted to Ben saying that we don't need a Battlefront 3 yet, and that it would be pretty great if DICE supported Battlefront 2 for 2 to 3 more years, but also pointed out that the current model for Battlefront 2 is just not profitable. Ben actually replied to this tweet, surprisingly enough, as the devs tend to stay really tight-lipped about anything related to the future Battlefront installments, saying that the team is still fully focused and committed to Battlefront 2, which is obviously great for us to hear, because from a gameplay perspective, I totally agree, we do not need another Battlefront game yet. Battlefront 2 is a very solid platform for new Star Wars gaming content, and I would love to see DICE just continue to expand on this game until the next generation of consoles release, which is probably what they have planned. What is crazy about Battlefront 2015 is that it was only like 6 months after that game released that DICE announced Battlefront 2, and then Battlefront 2 dropped exactly 2 years after the first. Obviously, that is not going to be the case for this game, as from what we can tell, Battlefront 3 isn't even in development or close to it, but I am very curious what their plan is. A new generation of consoles is releasing late next year, and I imagine EA is going to want another Battlefront game ready for next gen. There's also the very unfortunate truth that Battlefront 2 is just not a game with a steady stream of revenue. Very few people buy crystals, as DICE just doesn't have enough cosmetics being released to really warrant anyone spending $20 for a skin when they could earn it themselves relatively easily. So you just have to wonder how long DICE will be allowed to support this game, because I'm sure at some point EA is going to step in and have the team start working on the next game, but hopefully that isn't for a while. I would love to see Battlefront 2 get at least another full year of content, and we do know for a fact it will be supported throughout the rest of this year, throughout all of 2019, as the devs have confirmed that at least, but anything after that is a complete unknown. Moving on to some hero news, it looks like the blaster heroes may be getting a nice little buff in the near future. The other community manager, Jay, was saying over on the Battlefront forums that the team was considering allowing blaster heroes to crouch, and gave an update saying that he spoke with the lead hero designer Guillaume about this feature, and they are looking at changing this. If you guys remember, all the blaster heroes can crouch in the campaign. Han, Leia, Iden, I think even Lando, pretty much anyone that's playable can crouch in the campaign, but oddly enough, they just can't online. I've never really been sure why that is. I very much doubt it would change anything balance-wise, as head glitching generally isn't an issue in this game with troopers, so I doubt it would be with heroes either, and it would be nice just to make yourself a slightly smaller target, especially when you're playing as one of the more fragile blaster heroes. Either way, I will keep you guys updated on this when and if DICE decides to make this change final, and I really hope they do because like I said, I would really like that, especially in the large-scale game modes. We also have a small update on the current hero prices. As most of you guys are probably aware, in the most recent patch, DICE decided to make all of the heroes cost 4,000 battle points on every map, regardless of their era. A lot of people have been very unhappy with this change, as it does really change the dynamic on the early phases of certain Galactic Assault maps. For example, it is way easier to get a hero like Bosk on the first phase of Takodana, and just completely shut out the resistance from holding the first phase at all, and just completely changes that map overall. Personally, I really do like this change, especially on the sequel maps. It was always pretty unfair that while the light side was able to access 3/4 of the heroes for 4,000 battle points, the First Order could only get Kylo Ren or Phasma for the discounted price. But a lot of people do not feel the same way about this change, and are just not a fan, and Ben has said the team is going to be keeping an eye on it, and may revert it if need be. I personally really like having my choice of any hero for the same price, but I do understand where this does change the early game dynamic on certain maps, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in some cases, and it also just doesn't encourage players to use in-era heroes, but let's face it, the extra 2k battle points did not do much for that anyways. Next up, we have a small update on the campaign, and yep, you heard that right, the Battlefront 2 campaign, which most people haven't thought of in a very long time, and for decent reason. Well, if you weren't aware, over the past couple of years, the campaign has started to really fall apart. You can no longer equip star cards for any of the missions. After you kill the AI, they just like float up into the air, and there are just countless problems if you try to play it nowadays. Ben did confirm the team is currently working on going through and cleaning up the current campaign bugs, so if you wanted to replay the campaign for one reason or another, it should be in working order soon. One final thing, it looks like DICE is finally going to fix a pretty huge bug that we first saw once DICE added the new level 1000 rank system a few weeks ago, where a ton of players randomly had different units gain a ton of XP without actually having played them at all. I know for me, my Lando was at like level 650 for no reason. I rarely use Lando anyway, but he is a super high rank. Ben made a pretty long post over on the forums explaining the entire situation, and over the next couple of days, everyone who has one of those high rank heroes who didn't earn it will be getting reverted back to their original rank. Don't worry though if this glitch took you to level 500, but you have ranked up to level 550 in the meantime, you will still be able to get all of those levels you earned legitimately, so you shouldn't lose any actual progress. I am really glad they're fixing it. I constantly see people flexing with high ranks they have not earned, and it really does take a lot away from the people who actually do grind this game, because there are some people that play this game so much it's almost unbelievable. Well guys, that is going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to drop this video a like, and if you are new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, as we would be honored if you would join us. Also, I did recently make a Twitter account for Battlefront Night, so be sure to follow me over there just to keep up to date with everything. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
I'm now. I'm